Hi, my name is Naveen. I take care of talent management for HCL Technologies. I thought I'd speak a little bit about social hiring more from a recruiter or a HR perspective. I think in my view, if you're not on social hiring as of now, you probably have completely missed out a trick. And that includes if you're not on probably LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, if you don't have a plan in terms of how people are going to follow you, if you've not thought through in terms of how you would advertise jobs and you would have people probably find you in some way. In my view, I think some of the best class companies at this point in time are doing things which are like search optimization is one of the biggest things that a lot of companies are doing, which effectively means that if somebody goes to a search engine and types jobs and it types jobs of a particular skill, location or an industry, would your company come in the first one or two? Because again, research shows that people only click on the first one or two and get on there. So I think it's very important for you to think through from a jobs perspective overall on how you advertise, attract and get people through the door in terms of being present in the social media. I would also probably say that candidates are looking at how cool you are, and if you're not necessarily on social media, they probably think you're very uncool because they do have much better social presence outside of the company, and they want to also judge whether you are as cool within the company. But if you're a candidate, I think a very key aspect in the social space is to say is to figure out what is it that you're saying on that space, because what you say kind of pretty much gets etched into history. You can try to delete a few things, but it doesn't work that way. So try and be responsible in terms of how you're saying it. And now that doesn't mean that you need to always say things positively, but some of the ways in which a lot of recruiters are today looking for people are also in terms of how you're contributing towards a particular space. So if you happen to be in a technology, are you writing about it? Are you blogging about it? Do you happen to be in the right places in terms of where some of those particular technology folks are sitting together? How are you engaging with all those folks? Who do you follow is a big thing. So there are lots of ways in which a recruiter looks for candidates to say what has been your contribution, point of view in terms of a certain skill. So try and see whether you'd also, I mean, as much as you want to have fun on the social space, but if you really want to present yourself well to companies, it's very important that you are also packaging yourself in some of these areas. Everything that you've probably written on the social space is pretty much official. There is nothing which is unofficial. I think the companies also do have a dilemma in terms of how to deal with it, but like I said, try and be more responsible. It certainly would help you. Some of the things from my perspective, which is from an IT services firm, where we are looking for, or what we are looking for. I mean, the new technologies are always a craze, which is social or analytics, mobility, cloud. But what we're looking for in those are also things like the core implementation experience that you may possibly have. And again, I mean, if you're in some of the enterprise technologies, SAP, Oracle, or any of the other enterprise technologies, again, it depends in terms of if you have deep industry expertise, because the key that we're looking for today in this world is whether you have SAP banking experience. Do you have SAP banking experience in European industry? Do you have banking experience in European industry in a transformation way or in an integration way, and so on? So the ways in which people are looking for candidates have gone deeper and deeper. So it's not just about I know some modules, or it's not just about I know some some ways of implementing them, but the core happens to be on three factors, which is the technology, the industry, and the geography that you may be there. So try and focus on these and try and specialize in a particular industry more than anything else. I would also probably say that, I mean, and that could be in any of the platform skills, technology skills, or in terms of any of the new age skills that could be there. The one general advice that is there probably for all candidates is more in terms of the technologies are disrupting faster than you can probably learn them. So if you want to stay relevant and if you want to stay in the hot skills range, it is important that you're also keeping pace with the technologies. So somewhere it's very important that you're also looking at some of the newer technologies and trying to see whether you can learn them and you can be part of that wave. I mean, a simple example is the whole social mobility side. I mean, there are probably 2 out of 10 that is available in the market, and so clearly a hot skill. Another 5 years, maybe there'll be an abundance by then, but the technologies would have shifted. So try and ensure that you're a little ahead of the wave before that the entire abundance catches up in any form. I mean, data. I mean, again. I mean, the whole data analytics space is going to is probably already in a huge explosion for many reasons. I mean, I think the availability of data, availability of public data has become so huge, and people are making or made available in terms of many decision points that they could have from disparate data. I believe that the whole data piece could probably go in a few ways, which is either you're an extreme statistical expert, so if you're a statistician and on that side of it, or you're probably a guy who's on the technology side who can integrate and bring this particular thing to life. The most important thing that I have found in either if you're a technology person or a functional expert or any of those stuff is it's very important to understand the business. Because a business guy always talks and tells you saying that I have a problem in this area and you are trying to find a functional solution to it, and then if you are not able to make this connection or the bridge between these two, there's a huge struggle that happens. So it's very important that as you specialize in either technologies or in a function, learn about the industry, and I think it's very, very critical to learn about that deeper into that industry, which then helps you to say that this is how my technology can help you or my function can help you, and data analytics is of course one of them. There is a lot that is there. I mean, I think the analytics space by itself is growing. We do a lot of analytics work within our HR function itself. I mean, let me give you a simple example, which is in the last few years. One of the biggest problems that is there in the IT services firms is the whole space around once people accept an offer, they don't join, they don't turn up, which is called as renege. And 1 out of 4 reneges typically in the industry, or 1 out of 5 if you're a best in class. And then if you're hiring 1,000 people, that's a lot of people that you're missing out. Now, the key thing in the whole analytics space, or the question to the analytics guy, is you need to tell me predictively through some predictive modeling which of that particular 200 or 250 in a month will not join. And you need to tell that to me at 90% accuracy and pretty quickly, so that I'm able to take some quick decisions around it. So we did some program with a reputed institute, and today we have a model where after a person has accepted an offer, within about 7 days of post-acceptance of offer, there is enough data that comes to the recruiter to say that this person, 90% of the chances that he will not join, this person 90% chance that he will join. And of course the proof of the pudding is in the day of joining. The day of joining, if the person turns up, then your statistics are right, and then you keep refining the statistics more and more. So that's how the analytics piece has seeped into the HR space. I mean, one example of how it has solved a problem, big problem. And today we are able to do, in the 200 or 250 who may not turn up, we are able to take corrective action, probably make parallel offers, and in that space we are also able to ensure that people are joining on time. So that's one example, at least, on how analytics has seeped into HR. I think the social space is going to disrupt a lot of the provider community in some ways. So for example, the job agencies that used to earlier be the custodian of resumes has now democratized a lot. The same thing probably with media agencies, which used to come and advise and say a lot of things about how you should advertise. Today has again been democratized, because today, for example, I could run a campaign on a large platform, a Facebook or a Twitter, without probably even asking anybody. You could run a campaign as an individual and get viralized, and thousands of people could see you. So this democratization has changed the way in which both it puts power at the user level, and it has changed the way in which the jobs of, let's say, placement agencies, marketing firms, and many others who earlier provided services as specialists, and today they are also rediscovering what does specialization mean. But it's not as easy as it seems within the organization, just because the power exists and there's access to it. What we found is, again, research will show that the best organizations that get followed are the ones where there's a tremendous amount of active presence and an active leadership presence. So people do go and search for companies which has an active CEO presence. CEO is actively participating in many things. Blogs of all the CXO folks, the so-called thought leadership that is coming in from the organization and the way in which they are interacting with the external community, and that could be customers or that could be candidates. So clearly the onus and the responsibility of today branding and marketing has moved to pretty much right from the CXO to including a recruiter, because we do find that people are making decisions as they go through, and this thing of, they don't today go to a company website and read up information, but they go and see the people who are working there and what are they saying about the company, or what are they probably contributing to that particular function. And that's really how they are making decisions to say, do I want to work with this guy or don't want to work with this guy. So I think the whole idea of having a good presence right from CXO down to the recruiter, and that presence being measured as an influential presence in terms of saying how many people follow you, visit you, impressions, and things like that, which is a very critical way in which you could probably clearly measure as to how your brand is probably moving in the social space.